I'm going to address that last question actually in this first one with circles and soup. So now we get into decide what to do. So we've generated ideas, we've generated insights, but now we have to decide to act, okay? And when I say we, I don't mean you, the scrum master, the agile coach, the facilitator. The team needs to decide what it is they're going to do, right? So the team has to take ownership of this because they're going to be the ones doing it. If you have a retrospective only to get out the things your scrum master is going to do, you're missing the point. This is a team effort to improve the team. Some impediments only the scrum master can handle, some only the product owner can handle. But generally, you need at least one experiment the team can influence. Okay, so don't just be looking for things that people outside the team need to handle, be looking for things the team can handle. One amazing exercise to do that is called the circles in the soup. Absolutely, you should Google it. Absolutely, you should use this. When I have found teams that have been stuck, circles and soups help me get through it. What is that? It's this idea that the middle circle, the small circle, is something that you have control over, something that you directly influence. So, for example, I have a team, and that team says, we are not starting our stand ups on time. That's our biggest problem. Our stand ups always start 5, 10, 15 minutes late. When we do the 5 whys, why do they start late? Because not everybody's there. Why is everyone not there? Because they haven't dialed into Zoom. Why haven't they dialed into Zoom? Because they didn't try dialing in until 5 minutes after the meeting started. This is in the direct control of the team. The team can decide, I am going to show up on time for my daily stand-up. That's a team decision. That's something they directly influence. That's good. The team can go run an experiment. Hey, let's try starting our meeting at a different time, or let's try all committing to being there on time, or let's try, they can create an experiment and do something with direct influence. What about something the team can't directly influence? What about something like the start time of your workday? The team says, the problem is that we have to be logged into the Zoom meeting at 8 o'clock. That's a problem. I have to go drop off kids at school and then I have to run by the gas station on the way back. I can't do that every day. And so the best I can do is I can get in there at 8:30. But the manager said you have to be at your terminal logged in at 8. Well, the team can't just start showing up at 8:30. Oh, we decided we're going to show up at 8:30. Your manager's not going to be happy. What do? You influence the manager. Someone on the team, or Scrum Master, facilitator, someone on the team would go to that manager and say, hey, manager, here's our situation. We talked about it, and here's some challenges we're facing. Is this something we could maybe address? So it's something you can influence, right? So maybe the person responds positively, maybe they respond negatively, but you're trying to influence them. It's not something the team can turn the key and change themselves. And then there's the soup. The soup is the outermost circle. It is beyond the influence of the team, right? So someone on the team says, the problem with our team is that we have to work on PC systems. I want to work on Mac systems, but we have to work on PC systems. Well, if the entire company works on PC systems and you're at a large company and that's what procurement has procured, and you can't change that. And you can't even influence that. You can't go talk to someone to change the strategy of your company, right? So that's beyond your influence. So while you can recognize things in the soup, you can say, this problem we're talking about, that's in the soup, isn't it? You need to recognize spending time digging into things that are in the soup is a waste of the team's time. Why? Because they can't impact it. It's beyond impact. You can't change that there's only 40 hours in a normal work week. You can't change that there's 5 days. You can't change the realities of your competition in the marketplace. You can't change your stock price, right? So sitting in a retrospective talking about your stock price is a waste of time. You need to recognize what is something you can indirectly influence and ideally what you can directly influence. Now, I worked with a team one time that was a little more mature. They'd worked together well, they'd overcome several hurdles, and they said, you know what? All of our problems are outside of our influence. Everything we can either indirectly influence or it's in the soup. And I did the circles and soup with them, and they put all their problems outside of them. There was nothing indirect influence that they could do themselves. Everything is everyone else's fault. You know what I told that team? I said, team, then it's time for you to increase your influence. What does it mean to grow up and to become more mature? If you think about it for a second, when you're a kid or a child, you don't directly influence a whole lot. You directly influence your toys. You directly influence the food you're eating at the table, but you don't directly influence what gasoline your parents put in the car, right? But as you grow up, what happens? As we mature as adults, as human beings, our direct influence should increase. The benefit of going out on your own and becoming your own person and having your own bank account and your own car and your own job, you're increasing what you directly influence as you mature. So tell the team it's the same thing. Team, if everything is outside of our influence, it's time that we grew up. And the team might say, well, what do you mean by that? That means it's time that we mature where we start influencing more. So the question becomes, how do we increase our circle? So if you don't have anything in that circle, if everything the team wants to work on is outside in the soup or in the indirect, the thing you need to work on as a team is how do we increase our direct influence? And they might say, I don't know. Well, how do we make relationships with managers? How do we go ask this team if we can bring that process into us? How do we do X, Y, or Z to bring things into our circle so that we can improve them? Because sometimes maybe your team has improved everything inside their circle. If they've matured and they're a much stronger team than they were when they were young, there's always something you can improve. And if you've improved everything directly influenced by you, it's time to expand your circle. It's time to grow up and impact more things.